the key point which you have to do for your lesson is to identify the keywords. Okay, that means you have to know the keywords in the question. So when you get a listening question paper, the first step is to read the questions. Okay, you will be given, so don't worry, you will be given about, I think, few seconds to go through the questions. So when you're reading the questions, you have to underline the keywords. Now, you will be given time for each section as well to answer. Okay. So that is the first step, and you have to read the questions before you move on. Okay, and the best option is to not panic, don't rush. Okay, go with the audio, and then that should ideally solve your problems. Okay, now today we are going to try and solve a listening map. Okay, so in the listening map, now you will have to think of, okay, what has to go in, how do I assess it, right? So when you get a map in hand for listening, you will get some time to look at the map before you go ahead and start answering, or before the audio is played, right? So the first thing is to observe what are the things that are given. Yes, so for example, on the screen, as you can see, there is main hall, then there is a car park, yeah, and then you have to fill in the other details as numbered. Now, one more thing in the audio which you have to remember is that even though the numbers are given in a certain order, you have to follow the audio order. Okay, so your answer could be, your answer to 18th may come first, and then 17th might come later. But you have to follow the audio, and then when you listen carefully, you will be able to answer. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play this audio right now. So I want you guys to observe what is given in the map and try to, kind of answer the question. Okay. So I hope you're all ready. Can I see raised hands if you're all ready? Yeah, okay. Excellent. Okay, so I will be playing the audio right now. Okay.
So, what exactly are the facilities? What sports can you play here? Well, this room we're in at the moment is called the main hall, and it's used mainly for team sports such as football, volleyball and basketball, but also for badminton and aerobics. On the other side of the reception area, there's the dance studio. This provides a smaller, more intimate space, which we use for ballet, modern dance and martial arts. Not at the same time, of course. Then, in a separate building, which you may have noticed on your way here, it's on the other side of the car park, there are the squash courts, 6 of them. And at the far end of the building, a fitness room. This is our newest facility, only completed in the spring, but it's already proving to be one of the most popular. As well as all these facilities available here on the campus, we also have an arrangement with the local tennis club, which is only 2 miles away, entitling our students to use.
Okay. So can you all...
What exactly are the facilities?
So I want you guys to drop your answers in the chat box. Okay. So you can number it 17, 18, 19, and 20 as given in the map. Okay. So I've received one. Okay. Yes. So what I have noticed here is that some of you have got 17 as dance studio. Okay. Now, what would be the right answer? The right answer for 17 is reception area. Okay. So how to identify that is because when you are listening to the audio, right, they say that they have started from the main hall. And on the other side of the reception area is a dance studio, which is 18 would be the dance studio and 17 is the reception area. So most of the time what happens is that we don't focus uh, on that part. So that's kind of a distractor that they didn't kind of stress on that. So which kind of, makes us believe that that's a dance studio, but that's not the case. Okay. Then the second half again, 19, some of them get it as a fitness room, but a fitness room is usually, they specifically say 19 has 6 squash courts. So then when you look at it, you will know that your answer is squash court for the 19th one. Yeah. And the fitness room would be the 20th one. And they have extended the audio explaining about other facility available, which kind of again is to kind of confuse you in the listening. So the best way for you to do is to kind of understand that there can be these distractors and additional information given, but if you follow the map and the audio as it is, you will be able to find the answers more or less. Okay. I hope that clarified the listening part per se for you guys. Yeah. Okay. So you can try these at home. So as I said, you will be receiving the listening answers. I mean, not just the listening answers, actually all the PPT itself. So you will be able to solve this. You should be ideally able to solve this at home. Okay. So now we are going to proceed with reading module. Okay. Now I know that reading can seem a little difficult and sometimes a little intimidating, but we have ways to tackle them. Okay. So that's what we do at IELTS Material. Okay. So the first thing that you need to remember, the first rule for reading is that you don't need to read the whole passage for you to actually get a good band score in reading. Okay, so a lot of you might waste time reading the whole passage and not being able to get enough time to solve the questions, right? So the best way is that to skim read. So skim read means you have to read fast. Yeah, it's kind of a technique where you read through you breeze through the passage really fast to understand the main idea of the passage. Okay. One thing you can that will help you and that you can do is to kind of read each paragraph and maybe make a note with 1 or 2 words on the side on the main idea of the passage as you're skim reading, because that will help you to later spot which paragraph to go into. Okay. So I will be answering all your questions and answers towards the end of the session. So let's not kind of, put in all the questions and chat at the moment, because I want everybody to understand what goes into listening, reading, and writing and speaking as well. So towards the end, if at all you still have any more doubts, you can ask me at the end. Okay. Okay, so that is skim reading. So now we are going into the second step. So second part of reading. So this is academic reading. In academic reading, you have to remember you have 60 minutes. That is 1 hour to finish. There will be 3 passages, 3 long passages, because you're doing academic IELTS, and you have to allocate time accordingly. Okay. And as I said, you have to skim through it first. Then comes scanning. Okay. Scanning is nothing but highlighting the key points, highlighting the key words. Okay. Whichever you feel might come to use when you're answering the questions. So after you do the skim reading and when you read the questions, you will be able to highlight some necessary keywords. So if you can see on the screen here also, in this particular paragraph, I have highlighted some of the very important points, right? I've underlined them as keywords. Yes. So keywords does not mean the words that you don't understand, not the meanings. Keywords means the words that that can have some kind of significance to be able to answer the questions that are given to you. Okay. Another thing to remember is that when you are doing scanning, right, don't think that you will be given the exact word in the passage. Okay, that would make it very easy for you to spot it. So when you are underlining the keywords in the questions given, you might find the synonyms to it or any sentences that conveys the meaning of it in your passage. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So now we are going to go ahead. So skimming is done, scanning is done. And the second part, third part to it is to identify, or when you're reading a sentence, right, you will be able to kind of understand what could be the ideal word. What could it be an adjective, could it be just a noun, it could be anything, right? It could be even a preposition for that fact. Yeah. So you have to kind of try and guess does not mean you have to put in that word, but guessing it kind of would, guessing the keyword or the word that would fit in would help you to when you're reading the lines, it would help you to kind of spot the actual word. So especially when it comes to sentence completion and short answer questions, you have to use the exact words from the text to fill in your answers for the questions. Okay. And reading for details is nothing but it will kind of help you to how do I say this, help you to understand the meaning of, so we usually use this for true, false, not given, where you have to understand whether they are talking about a true statement, a false statement, or a not given. Yeah, so you have to read thoroughly. So that's why I'm telling you to not read the whole passage at the beginning, because you're going to anyway end up reading it for details when you're attempting the questions. Okay. Now, when it comes to grammar, yes, so if your answers are grammatically incorrect, you are not going to get marks. So your sentences has to always be grammatically correct. So when you're reading, you should understand, you should watch the tense that has been used. You should just, when you're reading, you will know whether you should add any words or deduct any words, all that. Okay, so grammatically correct sentences are very, very important in IELTS. Okay. Now, linking words such as, in addition to, however, but, yet, these are the words that you need to look out for when you are reading a question. Yeah, so you get a question and then you're underlining the keywords. Keywords does not mean that they won't have linking words or adverbs or conjunctions. The thing is, they might give a synonym of any of these conjunctions or linking words like however or but, and then you might be getting a very similar synonym or another word that conveys the same meaning in your passage, which would be a very big how do I say, understanding, because if you understand those words, it will help you to spot your actual answer easily. Okay, so let's try some example now. Okay, so there are different question types that can come for reading. So first one would be matching headings. I'm sure all of you are aware of all these because you all have you're all on the verge of going to write the exam. Okay, but in IELTS material, how we go about with answering questions is we have different strategies for different types of questions, so that okay, when you're seeing a particular type, true, false, not given, or matching paragraphs and information, or sentence completion, or multiple choice, okay, this is the strategy I have to apply, this is the trick I have to use. That kind of helps you to be able to crack the exam better. Okay. So these are the different types of questions. So I've written it down for you here. As I said, you will get the PPT, so you can use them for your reference. So as I said, matching headings questions, where they would give you a list of headings and you have to put them in the correct paragraph. Okay. Then there will be true, false, and not given, or yes, no, not given. Make sure you do not confuse between true, false, not given and yes, no, not given. So read the instructions very, very carefully. If they have asked you to answer it as yes, no, or not given, and if you answer it as true, false, you will not get marks, right? So you should be able to understand that, okay, yes, no, not given, and true or false are different. But the way you answer them is more or less the same. Okay. Then comes matching paragraph information. Again, that is more or less very similar to matching. So a lot of times you will find a lot of researchers having said something or having discovered something in the passages given, and you have to kind of guess who said what. Okay. So there are ways, so you have to kind of spot who said what and then choose your answers. Okay. Now, another type of question is a summary completion question, right? So in a summary completion type of a question, what you need, there are two types of summary completion question. One is with prompted answers and another one without prompted answers. Okay. So summary completion is nothing but fill in the blanks, but it'll be in a paragraph. So you have to kind of be able to read the passage and find your answers. So again, remember this, for reading, skimming, scanning, and reading for details is very important for any type of question. Okay, so the way we use might change slightly depending on the question type, but all these three factors are very important. Okay. Now, sentence completion is fill in the blanks, as you know. So you will be given a sentence with a particular word missing. So you can, as I said, as you read the question, you will find that, okay, this could be the word that can go into it. It could be a noun, it could be an adjective, it could be a verb, it could be anything, right? So you can guess based on the passage that is given to you, and then you can also underline the keywords there, find the synonyms or the meanings in the passage. But when you're answering, your answer has to be the same as what is given in the text, which means in the passage. Okay, so it should not change. This is for sentence completion. Now, multiple choice questions is when you are given a question with options. So there can be two types of you have to choose, you can choose one from 4, or 2 from 5, or 3 from 6. Okay, so it could be either of it. So usually that's the pattern that they give it in. Okay, I hope that's slightly clearer for you. Okay, so as I was telling you, we will try a small example for reading as well. So with suggested options. So as I said, there are two parts, suggested and without suggested. We will do the suggested options, but before we do that, I want you guys to take a minute and read the tips to answer, reading questions. So just take a minute and then we will continue. Okay. Okay, so I hope you guys have read it clearly. Okay, so now what we will do is we will try and solve a reading question. Okay. Okay, so this is a passage with 3 paragraphs. Can you see here? Yes. and this is your question. So this is a summary completion question with prompted answers. Okay, so there is A to I options, and then you have to answer them based on the type. Okay, so what you do right now is how to solve this. Okay, so how to go about with summary completion kind of a question. Okay, so you read the tips, and you can try and solve this. So but before we move on, I will help you to kind of walk you through how exactly you have to go through a summary completion question. Okay, so first step is to skim read your passage. So skim read it fast, and then you will have an understanding of what is there in each paragraph, right? And then you read the question, okay, and underline the keywords. So now when I'm reading the question, documentation of past weather conditions is limited. Our main sources of knowledge of conditions in the distant past are dash and dash. Okay, so this is the first part of it. So now, what are the keywords that I would think? Let me say it as weather conditions, limited, yeah, knowledge, and then conditions, and then distant past. Okay, so these are the keywords. Now, am I going to find the correct keywords in the passage? I mean, the exact words? No. Okay, I will be finding the synonyms or the words that are very similar. Now, since you are given options, right, it kind of will help you to shortlist the options that you have. For example, when you're reading a sentence like this, documentation of past weather conditions is limited. Our main sources of knowledge of conditions in the distant past are dash and dash. So you can think, okay, is it climatic shifts, ice cores, tree rings, glaciers, interactions, and then you can even try and shortlist them or guess what are the possible answers. Okay, then you have to kind of be able to identify your key answers. So let's say for the first one, which is the 18th one, yeah, for the 18th one, how to go about with it. Okay, so 18th one, what we will do is, so let's say we found that the keywords are in section C. Okay, so I'm going to start reading sentence. For the records from India and tropical Africa are even more recent. Yeah, for the time before records began, we have only proxy records constructed largely from tree rings and ice cores, supplemented by a few incomplete written accounts. We now have hundreds of tree ring records from throughout the northern hemisphere and many from south of the equator. Yeah. So the question was documentation of past weather condition. Yeah. So the keywords that you are finding here are here. Yeah. The weather condition is, so hundreds of tree ring recorded from throughout the hemisphere, from the south of the equator to amplified with a growing body of temperature data from ice cores drilled in Antarctica, Greenland, and Peruvian Andes. So you can understand from here that the climatic changes, and then they're talking about weather and all that. So you've already been able to locate the paragraph, and then you have to find the exact word. So that when you read through it, so scan for the keywords, you will be able to identify, and your answer for this would be tree rings. Yeah, and something else. So that again would be given somewhere here, right? So tree rings and ice cores. So both options are given in your prompted answers. So if you feel, okay, that's, sometimes they won't give you the exact words from the passage as the prompted answers, but they might give you a synonym or an adjective or something that is connected to it. Yeah. So at that time, so for 18, your answer would be B. and 19 your answer would be, sorry, 18 your answer would be C, and 19 would be B. Okay. Now, since now that you've understood how exactly to go about with reading a summary, how to complete a summary question, can you try the 20th and the 21st, all the three, 20, 21, and 22nd? So we can take maybe 3 minutes. So let's not spend a lot of time in it. So can you try and complete that? So you can again put in your answers in the chat box. So I am showing the passage to you. So you can just go through it. This is the first paragraph. Okay. But most of your prompted answers are you're going to find it in the second and the third one. Okay. Okay. So a lot of you have answered. So I'm just going to show you the answers here right now. Okay. So first one was, as we discussed, tree rings, ice cores, then climatic shifts. So a lot of you have answered. So good job. Okay, that is good. And then you have also, some of you have said storms. Some of you have got it a little wrong. Some of you have said F, weather. Okay. But it's heat waves for the last one. Okay. You have to read, as I said, you have to kind of underline the keywords to be able to find those answers in the passage. Okay. Just a second. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So we're just going to summarize what we've learned today for reading per se. So first thing to remember is don't spend a lot of time reading the whole passage. Okay, try to just go through it quickly. That's the first thing. That is called skim reading. Then don't look for the exact words which you find in the question in your passage. You have to look for synonyms or the word meanings in the passage. Okay. And the third one, you have to be grammatically correct. So let's say your answer is supposed to be, English, and you write small letter English as your answer, it would be wrong, right? Because you have to write capital. So the same applies the other way also. If a word is supposed to be written, the first word, first letter is supposed to be small, and then you write it as a capital, it would be considered wrong. Okay. Again, watch for the plural and the singular, which should be the correct ones. Okay. So sometimes, because you might find the exact words in the text, but the meaning might be different. So that's why you have to read for details as well. Okay. So now that we have finished listening as well as reading, so now we have writing and speaking to do. So in between now, we will just do a small poll where you can, give out some information. So it will come onto the screen now, and then we will continue with writing and speaking. Okay. Okay, so I hope all of you have answered all the questions. Um, so we will proceed now. Okay, so we have finished listening now. So in listening, we did reading the questions before the audio is played. So remember that before every section, you will be given some time. And some in the first two sections, you will be given some time in between also to go through the questions before the audio is played. And you have to answer the questions in the question paper, or if you're doing a computer based, at the same time as the audio is playing. Okay, not after you listen to it. Okay, I'm sure all of you already know this, but some of you may not. So that's why. So I'm just going to proceed with uh, writing now. Okay. So writing task is 60 minutes. So it is divided into two, task 1 and task 2. Okay. In task 1, you have to spend about 20 minutes to attempt your answers and also check it once before, so that you're grammatically correct. You have to write about 150 to 200 words. Okay. Please don't go below that, and please don't exceed it by too much, because that is, that does not create a good impression on the examiner when you're writing something, some information. Okay. So as an examiner, in listening and reading, it is quite easy because every answer holds 1 mark, and you will be able to kind of go back and correct it yourself as well. Or, it's easier to give marks for that. For wrong answers, there is no marks. And then for all the right ones, you will get 1 mark each. But when it comes to writing, the way that they evaluate you is slightly different. Okay. So from an examiner's point of view, when they look at your essay for task 1 or 2, okay, both, there are 4 important parameters that you need to take into consideration. First one is task achievement. Okay, task achievement is nothing but your ability to understand which question it is, which type of question it is, and structure it accordingly. So have you fully understood the question? Have you answered them fully? That is task achievement. The second one is coherence and cohesion. Okay. Now, coherence and cohesion is when you are able to use connectors and linking words in your essay appropriately, within the paragraphs, within your sentences. Don't overuse it, but try to use words like however, first of all, additionally, although, not only, but also. So conjunctions, using connecting words, putting things in order. This is called as coherence and cohesion. Okay. And the third one is, as it is familiar to everyone, it's grammatical range. Grammatical range is when when you're writing an essay, it has to be having the correct prepositions, articles. Your spelling has to be correct, right? It should not be wrong. And your sentence formation has to be correct as well. So all these factors, using capital in the correct place, small in the correct place, all this falls under the category of grammatical range. Okay. And last, but very importantly, is your lexical resources. Now, the term lexical resources might be something that comes as an unfamiliar term for some of you, but lexical resources is nothing but vocabulary. Okay. Now, in lexical resources, what we do is usually try and use topic friendly vocabularies, and not, you can't write a completely wrong sentence and put a big word in between and expect it to be right. So it has to be grammatically, not just grammatically correct, it has to be topic friendly. So if it's about education, you have to use a certain type of vocabulary. If it's about if it's about culture, it has to be a different set of vocabulary that you can use. Actually, you will be receiving, some of you will be receiving vocabulary ebook. If you answer very well and if you participate really well, that you can refer to and use in your essays and even in your speaking actually. So that will be very helpful for you. Okay. So moving on from the parameters. So these parameters are very, very important. As you can see, all the 4 factors holds equal importance in your evaluation. Okay. Now, when it comes to task 1, there are different types of questions. You have to only write one essay, but this one essay can be either a pie chart, a table, map, a process diagram, bar graph, line graph, or a combination of any of these. Okay. Now, when it comes to the actual exam, I can't say that, okay, you're going to get a pie chart or you're going to get a bar graph or a map. Okay, so that's why it's important to actually cover all these aspects so that it is important for you to understand how to answer each question type. But since we have some time constraint, we won't be able to do all the 5 or all the 6 actually. But we will try to kind of show you what is expected in the actual exam. Okay. So in task 1, okay, task 1 of your essay, your first paragraph has to be a paraphrase of the question. Now, what is a paraphrasing of a question is when you get a question, when you get the question paper, there's a question and you have to rephrase it in different words. You have to use different tenses or add in synonyms of certain words and make it your own, right? So that is the first paragraph of your essay task 1. And then comes the second paragraph, which has an overview of your words, overview of the graph or the bar chart or the map, right? Overview means you don't have to focus on the minutest of the details in your essay, because you're going to exceed the time limit and you're going to exceed the word limit as well. So what you need to focus on is the overview. What is the bigger picture? What is the main idea given? Okay, and then focus on writing that. Okay, and then conclude your essay and then you're good to go. Okay. Now, to kind of help you to understand how it works, I'm just sharing with you the sample answer, okay, for a line graph. As you can see on the screen, just take a minute and read through it. Think of what are the kind of different vocabulary that you can put in here. How would you write it differently? So just take a minute or 2 and think about it as you're reading through the essay, because this is a quite a simple line graph that is given, where on the left side they've given units per 1,000. It's about rubber duck exports from a time period which is 2013 to 17 of different countries, right? So it is EU is Europe, USA is United States of America, and UK is United Kingdom, right? So they've color coded it right here. I think you can see it on the screen. I'm not sure if it's clear, but they've color coded it. So you have to look at the main idea. You don't have to also write it just exactly as I have written it on the screen here. You can have your own take on it. But to be able to use a variety and not repeat the words, you have to kind of expose yourself to different vocabulary. You have to get a little creative in answering as well. Yeah, that will increase your band score by a lot. Okay, so just take 2 minutes, quickly go through it, and we will resume after that. Okay, so think about everything that we have discussed, and then we will proceed. So the two paragraphs are given on the side of the, I'm seeing somebody has asked me, where are the first two paragraphs? As you can see the screen, right? I'm sharing the screen, and I have mentioned it here in two paragraphs. Can you not see it? Okay. So I hope all of you have read. That's good. Yes. So introduction and the overview. Okay. So you've understood how the answering would go, right? Yes. Yes. Two paragraphs. Yes. So those are the two paragraphs for your task one. Okay. And you can, as I said, you can add in a conclusion at the end in the same paragraph itself. But more or less, make sure you don't exceed the word limit. So don't exceed more than 200 words. Don't go below 150 words either. But these two paragraphs has to be there and has to be written, with all the information that you can provide. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the same paragraph with some gaps in between. Okay. So if I am to rewrite this essay, which is written on the screen for you, sometimes what you can do is you can take a different take. So in this particular one, they've started from 2013, and then they're saying it started at 10,000 units, and then it rose up to 15,000 units in 2014, and then it stayed the same. And so this is what you are reading in the first two paragraphs. I would probably try to change it a little bit. I would probably try to use, I would start from 2017, and what was it, what was the, how do I say this? What was the units that was sold, exported in 2000, in the year 2013, which is 40,000 units, right? So 40,000 units, which country did it? Europe did it, and UK did it, right? Whereas US, the number was very low, right? And then as you're proceeding or going back in the years, USA's exports leveled or stayed the same, stayed stagnant from 2016 to 14. So as you can see here on the screen, right? I'm not sure if you're able to see. Yeah. Okay. So that also kind of is another idea that you can put across. So you don't have to strictly follow from the start to the beginning the same way. You can probably go backwards. There is a lot of different vocabulary you can use when you're answering the questions. For example, as I said, exports of rubber ducks in the USA in 2013 started at 10,000. So instead of started, I can use the word began, right? So it's a different vocabulary, and that would give it a better impression, right? And then I can say after that, export numbers leveled off until 2015, or it stayed the same, or it was stagnant until 2015, or it rose in 2015, or from 2015. So you can change up your words, you can change your vocabulary, the use of words in your essay. Okay. So I'm going to show you an example of like what are the different vocabularies that you can incorporate in your writing essay. So I'm just going to show you a highlight. Okay, I think I'm going to show you like this. Okay, so for example, the first one here showed an upward trend Yeah, that means increased. So instead of increased or decreased, you can say upward trend, downward trend, or hit the highest point or hit the lowest point. So for something that leveled off, right? We were talking about that from 2014 to 2000. Hold on. 2014 to 2016, right? So there, what you can do is you can use another vocabulary again to avoid repetition, because when you repeat a certain word multiple times, that gives an examiner the impression that you don't know enough vocabulary to kind of explain that concept. Yeah. So instead of saying leveled off, you can say reached a plateau or flattened out. Yeah. So as I said, this PPT is going to come to you, and then you can refer to all this, use them in your writing as you're going through it. Okay. So also there are some example sentences that you can utilize. Okay. So that is for task 1. Okay. Now we are going to move ahead and talk about task 2. In task 2, there are again the same 4 parameters that you have to fulfill as task 1. Okay. So task 1, for task 2, it's the same thing: task achievement, coherence and cohesion, grammatical range, lexical resources, right? So as you are moving ahead, there are about 6 types of questions that you would get in your task 2. Okay, you have to answer only one. So as I said, you have to spend about 40 minutes in your task 2, because you have to write 250 to 300 words in your task 2. Okay, and you have to write only one essay, but that essay can be of either of the 6 different types. Okay, so usually in our classes we break down these types of questions and then how to structure them. So it will be an opinion based, it will be how to structure an opinion based essay, how to structure an agree disagree essay, how to structure. So it will be different, slight differences are there for each type. But if you have been referring to some of the material anyway, since you've been preparing, you would still be able to understand some types of essays as well. But if you have not been able to, you can also refer to the IELTS material website. So they have broken down everything in there, and then you'll be able to understand each type of question. Okay, so there are types of questions. First one is an opinion based, which means that you will be asked to give an opinion on a particular statement that is given to you. Okay, discuss both views is when they would give you a statement and you have to talk about both sides of the statement. Okay, there is, unless you're asked for an opinion, you don't need to mention that in discuss both views. Okay, then comes agree disagree essay. Again, an agree disagree essay, again you will have to take one side, so agree or disagree. Okay, then advantage disadvantage or positive negative, which means you have to mention the advantages as well as the disadvantages. Merits, demerits, positives, negatives means all the same. The another type of essay is causes or problem solution essay. We typically call it as problem solution essay because the statement will be a problem and you have to mention a solution to that. Okay, so you will have to state the problem as well as a solution to it. 2 parts questions is nothing but it can be sometimes a combination of different 2 types of essays which are mentioned above, or it could be a very a very generic question as well. For example, what is happiness according to you, or how can one achieve happiness? So that's a very direct question. So the structuring of that kind of changes based on the question and how you would answer them. Okay, so in today's class, since we don't have time to go through all types, first tip would be that the first paragraph of any of these essays, would be more or less the same. So that means that whether it's an opinion based, whether it's a discussion based, or agree, disagree, or any of the 6 types, the first paragraph will have a general statement. So if it's about education, you have to say, you have to probably say education holds a significant importance in everybody's life. So it's a very generic statement. Yeah, it can be a line or 2 lines. That's about it. Okay. Then you have to paraphrase the question. Okay. So whichever type of question it is, you have to paraphrase it and make it your own. Rephrase the sentence. Okay. Now, only in case of opinion-based essay or an agree-disagree essay, where you have to kind of take a side or give your own opinion or thoughts, will you write a thesis statement. Now, a thesis statement is nothing but you're going to say, okay, in my opinion, this is what I feel, or I completely agree to this this part, and so forth. Okay. So thesis statement, you will not be mentioning in other types where they're going to ask you about advantages and disadvantages, or if they're going to ask you for a problem and solution. Unless your opinion is asked, you will not be answering, or you will not be giving any of your opinion. Okay. Then comes the last part of your first paragraph, which is the outline of the essay. So you can say this essay elucidates so and so information, or discusses the advantages and disadvantages of whatever the question would be. Yeah. Okay. So that will be the first paragraph. Now the second paragraph, third paragraph, and the conclusion changes based on the question type. Okay. So for the past 3 exams that recently got over, these were the essay questions that came. So this has a combination of, problem solution essay, and then there was a question of agree, disagree. There was also, questions with the possible solutions. So it was a little bit of a combination of direct question as well as a problem solution essay as well. Yeah. So these are the kind of questions that can come for your exam. These are all very generic questions. When I say generic, does not mean that it's simple. It's probably something from a news or the worldly happenings. Yeah. So that's what it is mostly about. Okay. So I am also attaching some sample answers for your reference. So for example, this is the sample answer for the first question, which is many countries today are experiencing high levels of migration from the rural areas to the cities, and what are the causes of this trend, effects, and then give reasons, and then provide ideas and examples of your own experience. Okay. So in such a situation, what you would do here is, again, there's a general statement that is given here in the sample answers. I hope all of you can see the screen. Yeah. Oh, just a second, I can't see it properly. Yeah. Okay. And then there is a paraphrasing of the sentence. Then there is a next paragraph, which is a body paragraph, where they are talking about the reasons, why people are moving from rural to the cities. Remember to make sure that you give examples for everything. Okay. Examples are something that in IELTS they prefer, and then that you have to mention it for whatever reasons that you mention. Okay. So similarly, there are other sample answers also. Hold on. Yeah, available for you here. You can go through them at home at your ease. Okay. Okay. So what are the things that we learned for part 2 or task 2 of writing is that there are 4 parameters, just same as task 1, yeah, which is task achievement, coherence, grammar, and vocabulary. Okay. And another thing is introduction of task 2 has a general statement. It has a thesis statement, but before that, a paraphrasing also. Thesis statement comes only in case of opinion-based and agree, disagree, and then outline of the essay. Okay, so I hope that's also clear for you guys. So now we will move on to speaking. Yeah. So speaking has actually 3 parts. It lasts for about 11 to 14 minutes, as I told you before. So in part 1, mostly the questions are very generic. It'll be about you, your personal questions. Where are you from? Tell me about your hometown. Are you working? What do you do for a living? Since you guys are students, they might ask you, what do you want to study, and which country are you planning to move to, and why do you want to go to that country? So such generic questions. Again, that will last for about 4 to 5 minutes. It's an interactive session. Okay. In part 2, so you can find model answers to this again in IELTS material website. There are a variety of part 1 questions again, which you can refer to. So again, when you get the PPT, in the link, there's a link attached to it. You can refer to that. It will be very helpful for you to kind of understand what variety of questions the examiners can ask you. Okay, so that is speaking part 1. Okay, in speaking part 2, okay, you get a cue card, means a card with a question. Okay, so those will be again generic questions. You get 1 minute to prepare your answers, and you have to speak for 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, there are a variety, again, there is a huge variety of questions available on the website, which you can kind of go through. That will help you. Some of them are also from the past, tests, which we've kind of used. Okay, so that will be very helpful for you to understand how to use them. Okay, and part 3 will be always a follow-up of part 2. So it will be kind of related. So for example, here, part 2 question was your favorite food, and the part 3 question is about diet and what do you feel about diet, and about restaurants and what's a typical diet. So it will be kind of related to your part 2 question cue card. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is you can post any questions that you may have about speaking module in the Q&A option in the chat box. Not the chat box per se, you will have an option Q&A, or I think you better use the chat box. Okay, so you can ask me anything to do with speaking module doubts, and I can clarify them right now. So any questions? How to elaborate ideas? Okay, so how do you elaborate ideas? So you have to, as I said in cue card, I'm guessing you're asking about cue card particularly. When you get a cue card question, you get 1 minute to prepare for it. So you have to write down your ideas in 1 word in a sheet of paper that you get during the exam, and then elaborate on that. Yes. So to help you, there is a technique called as mind mapping, which you can use. There's also another strategy that you can use to kind of, because I can't explain how exactly and elaborately, because it's going to need another 1 hour for me to explain fully. So if you're interested to know how exactly to create more content, maybe we can have sessions only for speaking, and then we can do that. Yeah. How to begin when they ask for introduction? When you have to introduce yourself, you can just speak about yourself, right? You can talk about, where you're from and who all are there in your family. what you do, all these details. You can give a lot of information about yourself. I'm sure everybody knows how to do that. In the listen, so okay. Yes, you can see your notes, but I don't know if you'll have enough time to prepare. I mean, kind of go through the notes, because that will create a lot of gap. So you can glance through it. So you don't have to write long sentences in your notes, because you get 1 minute to create content, right? So whatever notes you've made, you can just write 1 or 2 words to glance through it. Yeah. Uh, yes, so there are books that will help you with sample answers, and there are ebooks available in IELTSmaterial.com, where you can find band 8 and band 9 answers that you can utilize. Yeah. Accent is not important, but pronunciation is. So just like in writing, there are 4 parameters for reading. One is your pronunciation. Does not mean that you have to have an accent. Okay, it means that you have to just say the word correctly in the way that it is meant to be spoken. Fluency is another thing where you don't have too many gaps between your sentences. So try to fill those gaps. Another one is, again, your grammar. Grammar is a very important part for all the 4 modules. Okay. And lastly, it will be your vocabulary. Again, topic friendly vocabulary. So try not to by heart words and then just go and say, because as an examiner, they're very clever and they would know that you're trying to by heart certain words. So try to kind of use them in your daily life, and then it'll come naturally to you. Yeah. So part 2 questions are going to be given to you in a cue card. So Mohit has asked me this question. So part 2 is a cue card question where they are not going to ask you the question verbally. They're going to give it to you in a card, right? And the part 3 is an interactive session. That means it's a discussion between you and the examiner, where you have to speak more elaborately. Yeah. How to increase fluency in speaking? You have to use some of the fillers, like, for example, in a sentence where you don't know the you want to take few seconds to answer, you can say, that's a very interesting question, or I can't remember, but I think. So whatever you're thinking, try to put it in words, so that way you won't create a lot of gap, and then it will seem like you're more fluent with the language. Yeah. So what you need to really do is just be confident, be presentable, and all the 3 parts you have to speak more. For part 1, you have to kind of describe about yourself well. Does not mean you have to speak for hours and hours together. You just have to speak for just 2 to 3 lines about yourself. Part 2, which is cue card, you have to speak for a longer period. Yeah. And part 3 is again an interaction. You have to speak for more time, but not as much as part 2 for part 3. Okay. So I think the providing top 20 example. I didn't understand your question, Simran. Yes. So Himani, yeah, you will be, as I said, you will be receiving the ebooks. You will be receiving cheat sheets. So cheat sheets are nothing but, last for you to prepare at the last minute. Whatever you need to kind of go through, you can go through that. You will also be receiving a vocabulary ebook. So first I had thought that, okay, if everybody is participating, the active students will get the vocabulary ebook, but I think everybody has been really active. So I think that's a very good sign. And then I would prefer that. I mean, I think we should give the vocabulary ebook to everyone, so that all of you can utilize them for your exams. You will also be getting this PPT that I just now took you through. And then, it will be all available in the chat box link. Okay, so you will be getting a link to all these materials that I just now mentioned. So hold on a second. I am going to stop sharing the screen. Just a second. Okay. Okay. So since you all are going to be writing the IELTS sooner or later, yeah, you're going to need all the help that you need to do really well for the exam. I would suggest that, some of you might need help in one module, some of you might need help in all the 4 modules, and some of you might not need much of a help, maybe, just some more in-depth understanding of strategies to use. So you have already received as I said, you will be receiving the links to all the key strategies and tips and tricks, as well as some of the freebies like ebooks and the PPT in itself. But if you feel that okay, you need to improve a little more, because this is a very serious exam, for you to get into a good university, you need to have a good band score. So if you feel the need to do that, you can always have 101 sessions. We have 101 sessions, which we kind of frame it depending on the need of the student. So some of you might be strong in some modules which we won't focus on. We focus mostly on, or we kind of put more emphasis on the parts that you need the most help in. Yeah. So if you feel 101 sessions are going to be useful for you, you can sign up for that as well. Again, the details, you can just find it online. You can also book a demo session if you want to see, okay, how is the trainer going to take you through the sessions. You can just log into IELTS material, and then you can find book a demo session. So whoever is going to take the sessions are going to, so you'll get an idea of how it is. So it's a free demo. So you will get an understanding of how this works. Yeah, but I feel it will be very, very useful for you. Okay. So somebody has raised a hand. Okay. Okay, so any more questions? One new message. Okay. Okay, so for your IELTS exam, the scores are valid for 2 years after you complete the examination. Yeah. And for reading tips, we have already discussed the reading tips in the class. So I'm just going to brush through it since some of you have been asking me. So the key factors to remember is read the instructions very, very carefully. Okay. Especially if in questions where they say, write no more than 4 words, write no more than 3 words. It is very, very important for you to kind of understand that you can write in a question where they say write no more than 3 words, you can write 1 word, 2 word, or 3. But if you write 4 words, even if your answer is correct, you're not going to get any marks. Yeah. And another thing that you need to remember is skim reading is very important in reading. That is fast reading. So read through it very, very fast to understand the main idea of each paragraph, and maybe make a note on that as well. Yeah. Another thing that you would require is scanning, which is marking the keywords. So why are keywords important is for you to kind of spot which paragraph it is required in, and then to kind of find the actual word that you need to put into your answers, right? So as I said, you might have to, in a sentence completion type of question, you have to use the exact words from the passage. So keywords kind of help you to spot them easily. Yeah. Keywords are not always the same words as mentioned in the questions. It can be a synonym, or any word that conveys the meaning of it. Then reading for details is when you read the passage, not word by word, not the whole passage, but a particular paragraph you're reading for the information, so that you know that that information is accurate and correct. Okay. So I think that covers all the major tips for your reading. As I said, if you need one, so the thing is, our time is very limited, so I can't cover a large variety and go from question type to question type. So if you are interested to kind of learn more about all this before your exams, you can ask, I think you can just sign up on the link for a demo session or just live sessions with any of the trainers. They will help you through all of it. Okay. Okay. So I think you will be getting all the links right now for your ebooks, for your other information, which is your PPT and your cheat sheet, right? And also you will be, all of you will be getting vocabulary ebook that you can utilize for your speaking and writing. It's also something you can kind of keep it with you to improve your vocabulary over a period of time. So it's very useful book. Okay. Okay. Another one more thing I just want to tell you is, just a second. I'm just going to share my screen one more time. So there is an offer running right now, since you've all, attended the webinar today. This is exclusively for you guys. If you sign up before midnight for this, you will get the 3 recent actual tests with answers which are a band 9 answers written by the trainers of IELTS material. And you will get about 20% discount on that, with a free audio evaluation on your speaking and your writing task. Yeah. So don't waste your time, because I think this would kind of give you an idea as to what is the expectation for the actual exam, right? So even if you feel, okay, I don't need a band 9, I just need, some of you might think, okay, why should I? But what would help is for you to understand what is the expectation set, right? So you can kind of work your way through it, right? So these are the actual tests that has been conducted, and the answers are also going to come along with it. So if you're interested, you can purchase it. And as I said, if you sign up before midnight, you will get a good discount. Yeah. I'm just going to keep it here, so you can just yeah, I can see some more questions. Okay. So you can actually just find the links to all this again, links to purchase the test also in the chat box, because these are these answers are the ones that for the questions that came in the last month's exams. So you will be able to understand that the pattern in which the questions are asked, and it will help you a lot. Okay. Okay. So a lot of times what happens is that these questions can be repeated. Yeah, we don't realize, but it can just interchange between region, or it can just change between countries. But a lot of these questions can be repeated. So for all we know, you're going to go through this, and then you will see, that these questions are the same questions that you're getting in your exam paper. So if that's the case, then you will be able to score very well for your exams. Yeah. So just go through it. Even the ebooks are very same. They are all from the past, exams. So you can understand, the depth at which each question is asked and how it works. Yes. Okay. So I think I had a great time teaching all of you tonight, and I hope all of you had a great time. I hope all of you learned something, and there was some takeaway for you from this session. As I said, if you're more interested to learn any of the modules or all 4 modules, do sign up and see how you can progress. But all the very best to all of you, really. I think you are all working very hard, and it's going to reflect in your results as well. So all the very best.